I have with me here my brothers, whom together we contested the Kogi governorship election yesterday. I have on my immediate left
Prince Shuaibu Abubakar Audu.
Professor Stephen Ikanu Cheney.
You didn't tell them you are from National Secretariat of APC.
From the National Secretariat of APC.
Yeah.
Well, once again, my colleagues in the media, let me thank you for coming. This press conference is going to be very brief. It's to discuss a new phenomenon of electoral malpractices, embedded corruption in the electoral process of our country. I've heard of riggings of elections, but I've not heard of the new phenomenon, which we must do all that we can to stop in this country. The governorship election was scheduled for yesterday. As expected, all of us were in our various wards, having gone around quite a number of areas of the state. And personally, I was at home till around 12, and I became agitated to find out none of my boys have come to tell me that it is time to vote. Because normally, I stay and I allow them to say, okay, you can come now. By the time we were leaving the house, around 1 p.m., the election, of course, was supposed to be concluded by 2. And what we had was election results were already being announced. So in essence, which I think my colleagues here will attest to, results were prepared even before the commencement of voting. Announcements were made, and I was taken aback. This is the worst malpractices, the worst form of rigging, unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. That you will write the result of a governorship election where some people were persuaded and cajoled and forced to step down. Those of us who had the courage that it is democracy. If we are defeated, who will not bother? In fact, if there was an election and it was rigged, we will know that it was rigged. But where there is no election at all, and for somebody to have the audacity to write the result and went ahead to announce it. Now, why we have come out is to let you know that 2 other aspirants, we are 7 of us contested. The 2 other aspirants are with us. In fact, one of them addressed the press conference yesterday. So we are representing the 6 of us here. That the National Secretary of APC and the resident electoral commissioner in Kogi must be prepared to explain and to tell Nigerians if there was election in the governorship election of Kogi State. The primary election was not conducted. The people came out, all of us mobilized our members. The people trooped out in their thousands. But behold, none of the officials of INEC, nor even the panel that was to conduct the election. They were in town, but none of them came out, and they moved nowhere. But I must add that the chairman of that panel, the governor of Zamfara, who was the one that by law, by the constitution of the APC, was to announce the result. He came, we saw him. But we're equally aware that His Excellency, Governor Matawali of Zamfara, was not happy with the way and manner the thing was handled. And as a good Muslim, during Ramadan, you try to reduce your sins, if not to stop sinning. He was not available, he left. And by the constitution of the APC, if the chairman fails to turn up to announce the result, the secretary is supposed to send another chairman, not the secretary.
Correct.
Am I right?
Correct.
That's a guideline.
There's a guideline. But the secretary went ahead to announce the result. Now, why I'm saying this is that I want to have a clear picture of what happened. The primary election in Kogi State was just allocation of votes. And some of us that they felt would be a problem to them, they reduced our vote drastically. Of course, there was no voting. But let me tell you this. Then who is the person who emerged? The purported winner is the accountant, Auditor General. The Auditor General of the local government of Kogi State. And you know what the Auditor General, you know what they do? Auditor General of the local government, or the one that got the blessing of our governor. Now, we have no problem with the governor. We have problem with how he conducted or how is the level of his involvement in this election. He got involved into it. Yes, rightly so. But we thought that if you are going to sell us in the market, we should know how much you are selling us. In essence, if you will rig election, we know that you will rig election. But where there was no election at all, on your platform, I'm going to send to you videos of all of us where we're talking to the party faithfuls. You know it was direct primary. You will see the video where we're talking to our party faithfuls, how we mobilize them. Every one of us mobilized from every central district to ensure that people are out to vote. They stayed there. You will see people talking as at 1:45. No ballot paper, no INEC officials. Nobody came. Some of us sitting here had to conduct a parallel primary election because they didn't come out. Now, Nigerians must rise to this, not the issue of Kogi. If there's any crime committed anywhere in Nigeria, and you say it doesn't concern you, somebody will copy it in your state. So you must show concern. This is a rape of democracy, where people are not allowed to make their choice. Now, let me tell our national chairman of our party. If APC refuses to do what is right, it will be difficult for us to campaign to our people to vote APC. It will be very difficult. Because they got discouraged, depressed, that they came out in their numbers from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Nobody attended to them. Only for us to start hearing announcement of results. I have never seen a situation like what happened in Kogi. I have never seen a rape of democracy. I have never seen a betrayal of democracy. I have never seen where a state will deliberately try to ruin the concept and spirit of democratic rule. For anybody not to allow people to freely give their votes and for votes to be written is a crime not only against the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Constitution, is against the Quran, is against the Bible. And this period that Christians have just finished Lent, our Muslim brothers are still observing their Ramadan. And somebody who claims to be a Christian or a Muslim will perpetrate this kind of a crime. I think that one is worse than anditis. Now, my colleague will say one or two things, but we want you to rise to the occasion. You know why? Because these are the things that ruin democracy. And don't forget, God forbid, if anything happens to democracy, the first casualty are journalists. Yes. Who want good governance, protection of human rights. You have to get involved, not because you are doing your professional responsibility. You have a social responsibility as journalists to monitor what happens to the society and expose inadequacies. How will anybody have the audacity to ask people to go and write results? But the good news is that the chairman of the panel knew well that the thing was wrong, and he made a tactical withdrawal. Now, and they know the rules. They didn't get back to the National Secretariat of APC to send another chairman. Of course, whoever you are sending want to know how far you have gone, the guidelines you have taken to get to where you are. There was no election. In the primary election, didn't take place. It was just deceit, manipulation, lies to make sure that they deliver the candidate of the governor who happens to be his own first cousins. Not only that, they are from the same ward and the same local government. Now, this is our pains. That Kogi is a state that is made up of highly educated people, highly exposed people. And we do not think that we should fold our arms. Already there have been threats to life. There have been threats to family members. If you go ahead, maybe next week I will have the full details and announce those who are promising they will kill us and kill our children. We will mention it to Nigerian people. But we are not going to stop this crusade. In fact, it's a struggle that is just gathering momentum. We are just starting. We are not going to allow it to hold, to stand. And I want to believe that the APC, be the most democratic party, will not allow it to stand. I say most democratic because it was, if you look at the record, so far, APC is the only party today that lost election in key areas in the last election, in the last presidential election. And yet, we didn't talk. Yet, we allowed it to go. So, it is the most democratic party. And because it is the most democratic party, I want to call on the national chairman, our chairman, Adam Abdullahi, the zonal deputy chairman North, Abdul Kiari, and the national secretary, Iyolo Mishore, and Malam Abubakar Arugugu, that let it not be said that during your tenure, APC collapse. Because there's nothing that can kill a political party than when there is no fairness, when there is no justice, when there is no equity. The tenet of democracy is one man, one vote. It is not for some people to take the advantage of others and write names. And the good news, let me tell you, except they change tonight or tomorrow, this Department of State Security Service that I contacted, they equally affirmed that there was no election. And on your own, you can go to Kogi and do a survey. There was no primary election in Kogi. What they did was to just write names. We campaign. This man spent the money, I spent it, all of us spend money to go around mobilizing people, only for you to labor. And one man sleep in his comfort zone, start writing results of elections. And they were announcing it while we were still in the sun waiting. I mean, you can see the level of wickedness, of a malicious act. You know, unbiblical, un-Islamic act. And that's why when Nigerians say they are Christian and Muslim, at times I get confused. Because you hardly see the difference between a Christian, a Muslim, and an atheist. The atheist knows that it's not good to cheat the other man. They know. They have conscience. But the Christian and Muslim, when they want to perpetrate crime, they forget religion. I don't think that a Christian, just finishing Lent, you will not join in doing evil, or a Muslim who is still observing Ramadan, you will say they should do something that is unjust. So you're a fellow Nigerian, a fellow person of your state. You have a responsibility to help this country. This is how gradually, if you are not careful, democracy will become militarized. Militarized in the sense that if one man can determine who wins election, not by the will of the people, then we're in trouble. This will not stand by the grace of Almighty God. We will not allow it to stand. Because to allow it to stand is to allow dictatorship to spring from our state, and other colleagues will start, other governors will start emulating it. If we don't talk now, other governors will start emulating what happened and say, this is the way to go. Finally, too, I want to call on those, the incoming president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, vice president, incoming vice president, Kashim Shettima, not to fold their arms and allow this injustice to stand. Because if it happens, like I said, majority, Kogi is APC state. But let me tell you, if this is not check, the implication will be that you see people leaving the party. Not us, but our members. There are many of them call me today that, okay, for what you have done and what they have done to you, we will leave the party. I said, no, it's too early. APC should know that there's no absolute power. And the power that be in INEC must know that in this era of social media, you cannot cheat, because the village man, the farmers, they have their handset. They record situations. By the time I put on your platform all the activities of these gentlemen and myself in the course of this election that took place yesterday, you will see what I'm talking. You will see people on queue saying that we have been here since 8 o'clock, no material, nobody has visited us. You will see them, then you will justify, you now have reason to believe 100% what we are saying. So, gentlemen of the press, it's my pleasure. I will allow my colleagues who have one or two things to say.
Okay, thank you very much, distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi. Just a few more. You've spoken very well and you've said a lot, and I think you reflect all our views. The 7 aspirants that contested the primary election on April 14, 2023. I was at my polling unit at my ward at 8 a.m. I waited there for 6 hours from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. There were no electoral materials, no electoral officials. People had gathered in the hundreds and thousands across the various wards and various local governments. Unfortunately, the electoral materials did not arrive. Elections did not hold. It was a sham of a process. I would like to appeal to the national chairman of our great party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu. I would like to appeal to the National Working Committee to take a good look at, the problem that happened, the sham that happened on Friday, 14th of April. There was no election held, like I mentioned. It was a complete disgrace. And that's not how a democratic system should function. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is not a government to be determined by an individual. So these are things that we need to look into. I'd like to call on, the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who's the leader of our party, a great Democrat, and his vice president-elect as well, Senator Kashim Shettima, to take a good look at it. We have video evidences across all the wards, across all the local governments. All of us aspirants, have videos of exactly, what transpired. It was a shame of a process, and we don't want it to stand. Our issue is with the process. The process was very flawed, and we believe that we should stand up and fight for justice in Nigeria. We need to fight for democracy in Nigeria. We need to fight to ensure that the system, continues to function and continues to benefit people, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. If we don't fight now and speak up to the injustice and the sham that was conducted, the state will be in complete disarray and disrepute, and we don't want that to happen. Thank you very much.
Doesn't mean that. Let me just add that, as he was speaking, two things came to my mind. We are co-contestants. Announcements were made for results, but none of us voted because I was not voting.
Yes, correct.
Voted.
Not vote.
None of us voted. So how did they got the result?
Yes.
None of us.
At least I will know if I voted.
Yes.
I didn't vote. They didn't allow us to vote because I was not voting.
Correct.
So how did they come about? In fact, what they have done is a criminal offense,
Yes.
a criminality against the federal government of Nigeria, against the constitution of Nigeria. I didn't vote. He didn't vote. He didn't vote. None of us voted because I was not voting, and yet they came out with result. You see, if we allow this thing to continue, another government, another state will copy it, and that would be a terrible, terrible thing. So I want to beg you to know that we didn't vote. So if we, the contestant, didn't vote,
Then where did the election?
so how did the election come from? We didn't vote. So people just sat down in their comfort room and wrote the result, and they want this to stand. Yes, sir.
Distinguished Senator, my very distinguished colleagues, gentlemen of the press. I think what happened yesterday is highly inexcusable. A situation that is highly unprecedented. When we talk of result or vote, in fact, there's no vote to be recorded. Not to talk of so person has this, the other guy has this. When there was no result, there was no election. No election ever took place in the whole exercise. The whole situation is synonymous with a situation where you release a result where there was no examination. Is it possible? Students did not write the exam and you release the result. What does that amount to? That is fraud. It's a fraud. Okay, as at 8 o'clock in the morning, many of us had to travel midnight from Lokoja after a stakeholders meeting to our various locations to be able to prepare for the primary election. Only to get home, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., party faithfuls were all trooping in to our various residences, to our ward, reporting there is nobody, no electoral officer, no material. But I kept telling them, I said, no, let's have patience. Maybe it could be a logistic problem. Let's wait till 10. 10 o'clock again. The report was the same. Then I said, no,
12.
let's wait till 12. As at 12 o'clock, I went around the whole ward, all the wards in my local government. There was no human being called an electoral officer. Neither was there any material, not even a register of any party anywhere to be found. Then how can you talk of election? So the terminology of rigging and all that does not even apply because there was no election. If a party decides to violate its own constitution, then the exercise is a nullity. The constitution of the party clearly states that direct primaries means all party faithfuls will exercise their vote, their right of voting during a primary, governorship primary. All card carrying members of the party. And the card carrying members of the party are going up and down, running for helter skelter, looking for where the electoral officers were,
Nowhere.
who could not be found. So there was no election. That is the basic information there. I did not vote. Nobody voted. All of us, nobody voted. We're all disenfranchised. Imagine a situation where we do this to our own people. What loyalty are you expecting from the party faithful? We are rather scattering our party. We're jeopardizing our own effort. This is a state where we have a total of 1.9 million voters. And imagine Kogi East, where we have almost 1 million voters. And you do this to human beings in a period where we are, just like the senator pointed out, the period of Ramadan, where we Christians just finished our Lent, then we will just do this kind of thing. It is morally, morally unjustifiable. It's very criminal. I cannot imagine what informed the decision of the panel to do what they did. It has never happened in the history of this country, neither since I was born. That you call people to an election, then nobody was found. In fact, I was expecting an announcement that the primary has been postponed. As at 2 o'clock, I was expecting that announcement, which would have been better. At least everybody will go back to his various locations, preparing for another day. Only to be told later that the results have been released. Results from nowhere. When somebody called me, he said, Prof, this is what they say you score. I said, I scored it out of which exam? Professor has become a student, but where are my lecturers? Where did I write the exam? That's the question I asked the guy. So I think we must be ready to do what is right. It is too bad what happened yesterday. There was no election at all. It is a total fraud. If we make our own rules, the party has a constitution, and then the same party violates the constitution and go the other way. So we don't need a senior advocate of Nigeria to tell us that the exercise is a nullity. So I'm calling on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, and our President-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the national chairman of our great party, and all the authorities responsible for the administration of justice, equity, and fair play to ensure that the purported result does not stand. It is not the result at all, because there was nothing took place. It's as simple as that. We cannot deceive ourselves. We must not set bad precedents. Because whatever we do, like the senator pointed out, nobody will say it is Kogi State, it's a Kogi affair. It is not. It's a Nigerian affair. Similar situation will repeat itself in other states very soon. So we must be very, very careful in the interest of democracy, in the interest of our party. We must not allow, this must not be allowed to stand. So that we must be able, at the end of the day, to be able to leave a legacy of true and transparent democracy. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you, my colleagues. As you all know now, yes, Kogi State is a special state. The state is standing on a type of sorry. The one that's currently occupying the seat now is from the central part of the state. And it got this seat as a result of force majeure that we don't have control over. It was expected that between the other two, the west or the east, to take it this time around. If you have made a consensus, you have to bring everybody along. But unfortunately, the characters that we have in the state, to me, have shown they lack character, they lack content. By deceiving everybody into this election yesterday. Like in my own case, they came with a court order at the 11th hour that the court has disqualified me. But I thank Matawale was casual into making that statement. After I made contact to him, he realized it was a mistake. That's why he could not stand to announce any result. But I'm certain the National Committee will address this issue. This result cannot stand and it will not stand. All I urge you, the pressmen, is to continue to propagate democracy, as you all know. By next week, decision will be taken and it will reflect the wish of our people. And the wish is very clear. They know who is their leader and they know who they want. By next week, we'll know that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me just add that by the provision of the Electoral Act, when elections are to be conducted at the ward level, they must be within that ward. More importantly, the Secretariat of APC in the ward. Now, in Lokoja, the state capital, those who hijacked democracy, what they did was to gather some boys and took them to this square, Lokoja. Paparanda. They took them to Paparanda Square and said that's where they conducted the election. And I said, these people, are they not educated to know that you cannot leave your ward and go and conduct election outside your ward? It's like leaving your state for governorship election and you go to another state to conduct the election. So I'm just highlighting this for you to know a lot of wrongs and manipulation that happened in the course of this governorship election. In fact, I will stress to you that what happened was worse than when you have a bad military government. Because even in the military, there's what they call, sense of responsibility. You cannot conduct election outside a particular ward and you want it to be valid. The constitution is so clear. The Electoral Act is so clear about it. And more importantly is the fact that as we are sitting here.
No, I need to add.
Yes.
The two members of the party all gathered at the various party walls.
Yeah.
Waiting for these guys to come with the result sheet to conduct the election.
Yes, yes.
They refused to turn up. Rather, some of them went to a private house, a government office, to count 2-3 people to say they have done election.
That's what they did.
The true members of the APC knows who they voted for. And by next week, just like the senator said, the NWC is meeting because the law is very clear. The name, the so-called person they are talking of now cannot go to INF without ratification of the NWC. It can't. You understand? So by next week, of course, everybody will put on our papers now.
Yes.
To put it to forward it to the National Committee, and we know they will do justice to everybody. We will get justice. You understand? And whatever it will take, we will follow it to ensure the right thing is done. What we are saying, we are talking of equity.
Yeah.
Like I said, the state is standing on 3 legs. One is on the seat now. He said that he go to either of these two. Nobody's against that. Because I want you to take note of this. We are not desperate to be governor, but we are desperate for our party to win.
Yeah.
And for our party to win, the right thing must be done. What is the right thing? Everybody must be allowed to express herself in choosing who shall be the candidate of the party. And that's what Yahaya, Bello and co have disallowed the party members to do.
I think I must add that.
And I want to add to that all party members should be given the opportunity to exercise their right to come out and vote. Materials should be provided, officers should be in all the wards so that we can have a true and transparent process. Not just releasing results, when there is no examination. I repeat myself.
Let me add, they are threatening assassination now.
Yes.
The governor and his they are threatening that they are going to assassinate people.
They will kill people.
I want people to take note of this. Nobody died twice. You die once. You have been around. Nobody can intimidate me. Nobody. Whoever you are. They are threatening people now with treason.
Yeah.
I want you press to take this. They are threatening people with treason. I don't know whether when it become within the power of the state to charge people for treason. That's what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I urge you to talk to our people back home. Nobody should be afraid. At least when you die once.
Let me call it add that nobody is afraid. There's no doubt a lot of strange phone calls and messages. We are going to kill you. We will go after your family members. Nobody is afraid. There are some people that we know they have been killing, but one day you make attempt and you go for it. So nobody is afraid about that. Let me let you know that today, today we are supposed to submit our petition to the appeal committee, to the appeal committee. I was actually to go early in the morning, but somebody told me that there have been talks that have been hired, that if any of us should come with any appeal, they should attack us. I know this day when you have a large army of unemployed people, what does it take to ask them gather 50 people to go attack somebody? They are ready. So we felt it doesn't make sense to go. So I will not allow our security men to kill some of these younger ones. So we have decided not to file in the petition to the appeal committee. Rather, it will go to the National Working Committee. And my brother here is a member of the National Working Committee. So our petitions will go directly to the National Working Committee, who will sit down, look at it holistically, and take appropriate action so that you can remain one. Like he said, Kogi is standing on a triple stand of the tripod of West, East, Central. And I will tell you that the governor is from the Central. I have a large army of people supporting us, including every one of us here. Because majority of the people of Central, to be specific, there are people who are a majority in that Central district. They have the opinion that power should lift their zone. Because they have just completed 8 years. And like I said, nobody is a slave. Nobody is conquered. I am not a slave to anybody. My people are not slaves. If you want Nigeria to be peaceful, if you want Kogi to be peaceful, then there will be a sense of equity and fairness. But to say that another governor will emerge from Central, haba, with the argument that in the East they had it for 16 years, it's irrelevant. Because the world is not static, it's a dynamic world we live. So you cannot say something happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it will continue to happen now. It doesn't make sense. And that explains why the governor, in his wisdom, supported his Auditor General in charge of local government. You know, he's the best brain to come and succeed in. He's the best man. You know, he's the one who knows how to manage affairs more than some of us are sitting here. And who happens to be his cousin from the same ward. The same local government, the same tribe. They got away with what they did because even the chairman of the party is of the tribe of the governor. And when the election was being done, some of us didn't bother. We just say, nothing will happen. But we can see now that there's a need for you to speak out and ensure fairness at all times, because some people held key position from the same tribe, the same family, and they are using it against majority of the people. This will not stand because we are resolute. I'm not saying it must be me, it must be him, but it cannot be where they are taking it to. We're not going to allow it to happen. If that happens, it will be difficult for us to persuade our followers to vote. If the clip I'm going to send to you, you will discover that each one of us here, we mobilize our party faithfuls in our local domain. But these people have nobody to mobilize. So what they did was to carry the ballot boxes, the result sheets, to the rooms of chairman of the party, chairman of the local government, where they started allocating figures. The chairman,
the world chairman, and the local government chapter chairman of the party were not even used.
They are not used.
Because they don't trust them. You understand? They use the council chairman to write the result.
Yeah.
And some selected councillors.
Yeah.
So the party was not involved in any process.
Yeah.
That should be clear.
And let me go let you know that some chairmen that were suspended before now,
they
recall them with a marching order, go and deliver at all costs. That is, they must ensure that the anointed candidate of the president, of the governor, wins the election. And the only way that can be done is not to allow the election to hold at all. It could have happened. People wouldn't have agreed. Yes. You know, it's our party, so there's an extent to which we want to talk about our party because we still want to win the election, so that the opponent they don't have coaching us. Because we'll still win. We'll resolve. I'm sure we are going to resolve. Don't think we are not going to resolve. We'll resolve and still win the next election. So that the opponent don't ask and some of their agents who are here may not be laughing and thinking you will tell them. So, gentlemen, like I told you, we represent the other remaining six. So they couldn't make it. Some of them have individually addressed press conferences along this line. So we are all of us speaking in the same vein about the need that there was no election in Kogi State.
No election.
Okay, yes, if you want.
Okay,
yes.
Please. In that order. Hold on, please.
2 questions.
1, 2, anyone else? 2. Okay. 3. 3 persons in that order, please.
Good afternoon.
After.
When you started off, my name is Aris. I thought we were. When you started off, you made mention of parallel primaries.
Yes.
So you just said it in the clip, but just mentioned it. So I want you to be specific about that election. It was a parallel election that held primaries election. Who were those who conducted it? That's number one. And then secondly, are you being specific with all of you mentioned that there were no electoral officers anywhere? So are you specifically saying that INEC did not show up for a primary APC primaries?
Let me tell you this, that INEC didn't show up at all. And I will let you know that because I know Nigerians very well, when it came to my reasoning that the election will not hold again, I invited a colleague of mine who is a politician that there's the need for us to see the DSS. So I went to DSS in my local government and I asked him, I said, are you a Christian or a Muslim? Above all of them, they all answer, this Christian, this Muslim. I said, oh, very good. Now, was the election held here? They said no. I said, this local government, was there any election? They said there was no election. I said, please let it reflect in your report. And there are people there, they attested to the fact that there was no election. In essence, there was no INEC. All the party faithful that came out, if we don't give them a resemblance of believing that their coming will not be in vain, in essence, when people troop out and they stay inside the sun for 6 hours, and you ask them to go home, you know the resultant effect? There'll be riot. They may start attacking some people. They may know the houses of some of the cronies of the government, and they go and set it on fire. So we have to give them resemblance of, okay, let us know those of you who are here. Because if you don't do that, there'll be riot. They will go after the chairman of the local government, they will set his house ablaze. We don't want it to become a lawless society. So we have to give them the resemblance and get to have the fact that we are on ground. Okay? If we don't believe in the process of the party, the various levels of check and balances, we're not going to go ahead to write petition. We've written a petition to them, and other document will be going to the National Working Committee. And like he said, we have a trust that the National Working Committee and the incoming president and his vice will do justice to it and make sure that we have a candidate that can win election. You know, that is the issue. The man they have chosen now, or they have nominated, cannot win election. A lot of baggages, a lot of questions to answer, which is not expedient for me to go into here, so that the opponent don't start using it after. So let us just leave the matter like that.
All right, my name is Gabriel, a community reporter.
Yes.
Sorry, you are live. I have about 75 persons who want to talk to you, but I just want to take one. He says, at the end of this, will you go to court?
Well, I want to believe that the National Working Committee, so far, they are men of courage. They will do the right thing. I don't think it will get to that point. But if there's a need eventually, why not? It's our right to go to court. But I believe that the National Working Committee, looking at the document with them, looking at the constitution of the party, and the report they have received so far, and the visuals, all of them have received quite a number of visuals, over 100 visuals of party faithfuls that were depressed,
Stranded.
stranded. They saw it, so they knew where there was no election. Look, only someone who do not believe in God will say there was election. Only our natives will say there was election. We are saying there was no election. If you rig, we will say, okay, they rig us.
Yes.
At least I will vote in the process of rigging me out.
Yes.
Can you shave my head when I'm not available?
Available.
So
Exactly.
there was no election. I didn't even vote. I didn't even raise my hand up for anywhere. Nothing. We just see result on the internet. And they went to announce that election has been concluded and won. Who by who? So let me tell you that there was no election.
That's just the message.
The last person, please.
My name is Chinedu Echan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said something about a stakeholders meeting that took place before, the night before the election, and led several confirmed reports of issues, the development that happened in that stakeholders meeting. So could you just be kind enough to briefly tell us, was there any form of altercation at the stakeholders meeting as a result of the planned manipulation, as you have said?
Yeah, that was this idea that only party faithfuls whose dues are up to date, financial members who they are not owing, they are paid to date. And I felt that was not good enough because you do not change the goalpost in the middle of the game. More so, these same people you talk about voted in February. You didn't come with the idea of financial membership because their party members they voted. Yeah. But I think more importantly was the fact that I now raised my hand because I said no, this will not be an issue. As I raised my hand and I wanted to engage them, that it will be undemocratic to come out with this kind of requirement. They just said national item. So I was already standing, they said national item, and everybody ended. So as it ended, I now approached the chairman of the state chairman. I said, Chairman, I raised my hand, the governor, all of you saw me. He said, but the national item was on. I said, okay. I said, let me ask you, is it fair for you to now say they must pay? He said, they have to pay. I said, okay, no problem. We'll pay for all our members. Oh, he said, the payment is late. I said, Abdullah Dollar, payment is late. I said, when we attended international conferences, you will pay at the spot. I said, we will pay for our members who are owing. He said, the payment is late. I said, the payment is late? He said, yes. I said, this is not democracy. But eventually, they didn't even appear. No talk of still talking about payment. We didn't even see them. There was no election. They sat down and wrote the results on their own. If we allow this to go, it means there is no more democracy in Nigeria. Because another governor who have read about this will try to do it. INEC didn't supervise any primary election in Kogi State yesterday. The DSS are there. They will attest to it that there was no election. The man on the street, the party members, they will tell you there was no election in any part of Kogi State for the governorship election. The result you have was that was written based on the forms that were given to chairman of local government and chairman of the party to fill the form and submit back. So that's the issue.
Thank you.